Howdy y'all, and welcome back to another Longhorn tactical flashlight overview. Today we're going to be looking at this behemoth over here, the Fenix LR60R. This is going to be Fenix's newest champion whenever it comes to just sheer output, as it's going to have a brightness of 21,000 lumens and a throw of 1,187 yards. And real quick before we get into this video, please make sure that you like and that you're subscribed, as it really helps out the channel and it'll help you stay up to date on everything EDC and flashlight. And now let's go ahead and check out this awesome light. I really hope that you enjoyed those beam shots, as they were an absolute blast to get. You'll see some more throughout the video. But first, looking at what comes with your purchase of the LR60R is going to be the LR60R itself, as well as a pre-installed battery pack with a 16,000 milliamp hour capacity that is custom for this light. Also in the box, there's going to be 3 bags. In the biggest one here, there's going to be a shoulder strap to where if you're going to be using this light for a long time, you can go ahead and throw it over your shoulder to where your arms don't get tired, or you can just keep your hands free. As well as that, in bag number 2, there's going to be a lanyard to where you can string it through the bottom, be able to attach it to your wrist. That way, if you drop it, it doesn't hit the ground. And there's also going to be a USB-C charging cable in this bag as well. And then in the 3rd smallest bag, there's going to be the spare O-ring and the hanging ring screw to where you can screw it into either one of these holes on this light to where you can attach the shoulder strap. And then as well as that, of course, you're gonna have your paperwork included in here as well. Also, whenever you get this light fresh out of the box, please make sure to go into the battery pack and remove the little paper circle that will be on top of it, as it's kind of hard to miss as compared to other lights that have this battery protector on it. And now let's take a look at the Fenix LR60R. Looking at the front of this light, we're going to see the firepower, the LEDs of this light. That one in the back is going to be the luminous SFT70 LED. And around it, we're going to have 3 arrays of 4, the LumiLEDs SST40 LEDs. And then also up here at the bezel of the light, nestled in between these 2 LED arrays, there's going to be these 2 holes, which are going to be the proximity sensor for this light. And naturally, in order to achieve that monstrously large throw, there's going to be this nice large polished reflector around the SFT70 LED. And a nice touch is going to be that bottom 5th being in orange peel texturing in order to give the hotspot a little bit smoother of a fall off. Also on this light, there's going to be this OLED display, showing first the logo and then going to the runtime, the output, and then the battery percent remaining. And then below the screen, there's going to be 2 USB ports with the USB-C supporting quick charging, and through this port you can either charge the light or use it to discharge from the light and charge other electronics. And then with the USB-A port, you can only discharge from the light and then charge other electronics. And then, of course, below the charging ports, there's going to be this mechanical rotary switch, which controls the output of this light, with the left side Fenix labeling the search mode, and then the right side being the camping modes. And then, like all good lights, this is going to be constructed out of aero-grade aluminum alloy with an HA3 hard anodized finish. And then around back here, you can detach this handle with these 2 hex screws right here. This is going to be your lanyard attachment point, and there's going to be 2 tripod screws. The first one is going to be on the handle itself, and then around back, there's going to be another one here. However, this is going to be the one where I personally would attach the loop screw, and also this screw is going to have the same threading on the top as it does in the bottom, so that way if you ever want to attach your shoulder strap while still keeping that flexibility, if you want to attach it to something else that takes 1/4 inch, then this is going to be the screw for you. However, this is how I would personally attach my shoulder strap, looping it from here to here, so that way whenever I'm carrying it against my body, it's able to keep the handle away from my body. And now for my personal thoughts on the LR60R. First off, this is not going to be your average EDC. 21,000 lumens and 1,187 yards of throw is going to be way overkill for most people. However, I can see it having a very good use for hog hunters, as it has a tripod screw and it's pretty easily mountable onto stands or vehicles. Search and rescue, obviously, as it's going to have a lot of light in the surrounding area and the throw. And then of course, if you're going camping as well and you want a lot of light, if you're staying at base camp for multiple days, this is also going to be great, as it has a dedicated floodlight mode, which will make it to where you can see all around you. This light is going to use a mechanical rotary switch to operate. And I'd almost say, because of these ridges down here that give you a lot of grip, I'd say it's pretty much one-hand operable, as whenever I'm not holding on to the main handle itself, it's pretty easy to get a hold of these little notches and change the brightness. However, one thing I'm not going to like about this UI is going to be the fact that there's no speed bump. The SOS and the strobe feel the same as every other mode. I really like the UI of the PD40R, as it feels different right before you swap into your secondary modes, letting you know what you're doing on the switch whenever you can't see any of the icons. However, with this light, there's no such thing. And so a lot of times whenever I was testing this out, I'd swap into SOS and strobe, and honestly, it would hurt my eyes. And if there's people around me, I'm assuming they wouldn't like being strobed by 9,000 lumens either. And so I would really like them to implement that speed bump on this design going forward. And to add on top of that, there's going to be a roughly 1 second delay between the light and the rotary switch itself, meaning that there's going to be a little time that it needs to update to output that brightness, meaning that it's really easy to overcrank and you really have to pay attention to the OLED screen or just the light itself in order to not overcrank. And so while I would say that this UI is going to be very simple and very beginner friendly, it's not going to be the cleanest UI coming from Fenix. However, one thing I do like about this light is going to be how it's pretty customizable. Both of these screws are going to be 1/4-inch tripod screws, meaning that you can set it up either way you want. And on top of that, this handle is going to be detachable, meaning that it's going to be more compact for storage. And you know, if you want to carry it like just a normal flashlight, you can do that as well. Also, while the power bank feature on this light isn't going to be necessarily needed, it's a nice addition to this light. However, as another note on this battery, I'm going to be wanting a little bit more out of it. 1 hour and 50 minutes on its turbo is definitely not bad. However, I'm going to want a little bit more runtime coming out of that. And from what I've read, most searches don't conclude in only 2 hours, and ideally you're going to be wanting to go hunting for more than 2 hours. And so while I'm imagining you're not using it on turbo for, you know, the entirety of whatever you're doing, you're still going to be using it for its higher outputs no matter what you do. And so I'd really like a little bit more output coming out of this light, especially considering that the battery pack is going to be proprietary at the moment, and Fenix doesn't sell the battery pack or battery pack chargers at the moment, meaning that you're kind of limited to the battery that comes included with this light. And through the USB-C port, it cannot take external power while it's on its higher outputs. And so for now, the runtime is going to be a limiting factor for me. However, aside from that, this light is going to be big, bright, and powerful. It does everything as advertised, and it just feels awesome to use because everything around you is cloaked in light. And so if you need something that's ridiculously bright and throws ridiculously far, this light is going to be the light for you. And now let's move on to the operation guide of the LR60R. Like I said before, the UI is going to be pretty simple, as everything is going to be controlled by this mechanical rotary switch. Now there's going to be 2 sides to this, and then on the right side of the power button is going to be the search mode, which is the language that Fenix uses. It's going to have 5 outputs, with the turbo being at the far right here. And then as well as that, on the other side, there is going to be what Fenix calls the camp mode, with the SOS and strobe being on the left side. And then starting on our camp mode side first, we will start at our medium output and then go to high and then turbo, and these are all on the flood. And then one more cycle will bring us to the SOS output and then your strobe output as well. And then moving over to our search mode, we are going to start on eco and then low, medium, high, and then turbo. And like I said earlier in the video, this light is going to have a proximity sensor, which is very nice to have on this light, as if you were to set it up on a tripod, it's very bright, and if someone or something were to knock it over, you don't want to be starting fires. However, if you do want to turn it off, all you have to do is cycle between the power and the eco 3 times in 3 seconds. And so watch the OLED screen and it'll tell you if it turns on or off. So 1, 2, 3, and then it'll give you a little flash, and then there's a little robot guy who will say off. And then to turn it back on, you just have to do the same thing again, and the robot comes back and he says that it's on. And like I said before, this light can only charge using the USB-C port. However, once you plug it in, it'll display both the power setting and this cool little animation of it getting charged. I really like what they've done with the OLED screen. There's a lot of attention to detail and just cool little tidbits like this, and I really appreciate it. However, while the light is charging, it will only have access to its eco output. So even if I were to crank it all the way to its turbo, it's only going to give me my eco output. And also, just as a quick overview of the proximity sensor itself, if I were to turn it all the way up to its high setting and then put my hand in front of it, it'll step down to its eco output, and then once I move my hand away, it'll turn back on. There's around a 1 second delay from both it stepping down once there's an obstruction and then it stepping back up. And now for my favorite part, the specs. On its camp mode, it's going to output a 2000 lumen flood for 5 hours and 25 minutes. The high camp mode is going to be a 6000 lumen flood for 3 hours. The turbo on camp mode then is going to have a 15,000 lumen output for a runtime of 2 hours and 10 minutes. And then that step down is going to be after around a minute. It's going to have an effective range of 384 yards and then a candela of 30,896. The SOS then is going to be flashing 300 lumens of brightness, and then the strobe is going to have an output of 9,000 lumens. On its eco output, it's going to be putting out a brightness of 50 lumens, and that will be able to run for 113 hours. And then on its low setting, it's going to be outputting 300 lumens for 24 hours and 20 minutes. On its medium search mode, it's going to be outputting 1000 lumens for 10 hours and 40 minutes. On its high search mode, it's going to be outputting 3000 lumens for 3 hours and 45 minutes. And then finally, the turbo on search mode is going to have that 21,000 lumen output for 1 hour and 50 minutes. However, it looks like it steps down after around a minute and 15 seconds. It's going to have a throw of 1,187 yards and then a 294,267 candela intensity. This light is also going to be IP68 waterproof, as well as having a 1 meter impact resistance. And then as well as that, I have the dimensions here on screen. And then the weight of this is going to be 52.91 ounces. And here to wrap up this video, I have put links down in the description so that way you can go check out the LR60R yourself at our website. There's tons of cool graphics and information to help inform your purchase decision there, so I highly suggest you go check it out. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and we will see you in the next one.